Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mickey Clayton, the coach, and I'm here with another episode of the Claflin Athletics Show. And with us today, needing no introduction, civilized America, Dr. Louise Almeida, who is probably even more experienced at doing this than me. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. You're doing something that is really commendable in terms of being at the university and teaching students about looks like things that have that they're really popular in terms of them trying to learn and do. Kind of tell us a little bit about that, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. The way of how we train our students here at Claflin University is very hands-on. So our kids, since day number one, when they come here to Claflin, we have a system of mentorship where we align our kids with older kids in our department, and often under my supervision, we then enable and empower the kids to be able to produce content to a point where we align our classes, our curriculum classes, with the Department of Athletics as a way to introduce the kids to athletic operation and camera operation. They work on a switcher, and then the kids are able to, after the game is over, the series of games are over, they can and they do put together different reels about those events. It's really a great operation, sir. We are ahead of the game.
It sounds like it. Give me a little bit more details about what you do. You're doing a visual presentation on the contest.
Yeah, well, more than that, because we actually enable the kids. Well, there is it's a three-step process. The kids come when the kids comes as freshmen. Students are automatically paired with a mentor. Is a lead student mentor that helps the incoming freshman to be able to understand equipment under the supervision of the faculty. Very often is under my desk. And then once they get acquainted with that, then the kids, they enroll in different courses in our curriculum. In those courses, they are empowered to produce media in some of those courses, including a course at the sophomore level, which is the practicum class. The kids are then paired with the athletics department on a rotation to help them to be able to understand the athletics operation, which is actually done live here at Claflin University.
Mhm.
So the kids, they are immersed in learning media from within very early on in their academic careers, which is really a shift from the that's the model of training that we often see in bigger institutions. But by Claflin being a small university, we have some degrees of freedom to be able to empower our kids to be able to get involved very early on. So the visual presentations that they produce live, they are then used by our athletics department, and it is an operation that is still getting refined as we enable the kids to do this type of work. As I understand, our athletics department just got new equipment, so that will certainly help our kids to be able to maneuver the cameras maybe a little better and produce better quality content for the university.
Yes, we actually started producing high school content for high school games in the area, and um, men's basketball, girls basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, done some track. So we kind of understand that concept, and even doing some middle school presentations to allow exposure for those student athletes and those programs. And I think it's really good. The first thing you said was teaching them how to utilize the equipment. Um, I just think that's really good. And how different will the new equipment that athletics has acquired? What's the learning curve on the new equipment?
Well, I haven't seen the new equipment as of yet, but I can say with certainty that the equipment that we had was a little outdated. So,
Okay.
and the tripod could have been a little easier to maneuver to be able for kids to produce shots that will be more broadcast ready.
Mhm.
But my assumption, and I suspect, that's we're going to be able to help the kids to shoot in 4K rather than shooting at 720p is
Mhm.
definitely one of the differences. The capacity of the kids to use a more updated switcher, I do know that that's the case there with our operation, is also very encouraging. The cameras that the kids are shooting, they're shooting mirrorless now rather than shooting DSLR, which when it comes to exposure, that's not much of a difference there, other than the fact that they're using a new equipment that may have maybe better autofocus. But I'm expecting the students to be pretty excited about it. In fact, I just came from a class at the 100 level, and the kids were asking, "Well, Dr. Wei, how can I get involved with the athletics operation?" And say, "Well, we have to, first of all, we have to talk with Mr. Goodwin, which is the person in charge of that operation, the athletics. But we're going to put you all in this class called Practicum, where we would then help you all out with understanding the equipment. In that class also, we talk about exposure with the kids, which is the manipulation of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, manual mode of white balance, and so forth, manual modes of camera operation for the kids to be able to perform at capacity, especially during a live game. So last year, a number of us, and I was a chair in a faculty, we were there to help the kids out and to scaffold that operation, which it grew from a no operation. There was really no involvement with our kids with athletics to have this rotation with so many kids learning how to do the job live, which is really exciting and great for the kids.
Now, I heard you speak of the rotation, and that led me to the question I had made a note that I was going to ask you. In your crew, when you do a production, how many students do you typically use for a production?
Well, it depends on the production. So the athletics production, the live feed, we have two cameras, technically two cameras that the kids are operating. There is a floating camera that is used after the fact for the reels. We have a switcher kid who is working with the switcher. Besides Mr. Goodwin, I think he does the statistics, and we also have a kid who does the play-by-play announcing, which is one of the changes also with the new equipment, that now we have the capacity to produce better audio, have a better audio for the play-by-play. So those are the positions that we have. But then, because the practicum class has about 20 students, it feeds good, it feeds well for this operation, because then the kids can be on a rotation. So students then have an opportunity to be able to practice their craft, what they want to do before they graduate, without relying only on a few kids. And sometimes it can burn the kids out by always having the same ones. So as far as I'm concerned, sir, I like the model a lot,
Mhm.
and it enables the students to be able to do the work that they want to do when they graduate. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that to me is media training 2024.
Exactly. And I'm sure that as you rotate your units and teams that you have, each one of the students gain experience in each one of the, looks like 3 or 4 different things that they do, so that they become knowledgeable about each area.
Yeah, and exactly. That's precisely what we're doing here at Claflin University. So as we produce our content in our classes, or one of the classes that we have, for example, is corporate video. In that class, the project from last year, that class, it came together to be able to produce a video to promote the school, as a rough draft of a video to promote the school, with a corporate look that would then accentuate and promote the brand of Claflin University. So why not do that in a class, rather than only talk about the concepts of producing that video, and then relying on the kids to get in that experience after the fact, if we still have the time to do the video during that class. So that is the model. That's what we're trying to accomplish here at the university.
Now, those are some lofty goals, and I'm sure the students are really excited about having those opportunities to be hands-on with these type of assorted video presentations.
Well, it's what the market is. So if we are to train our students to be able to train them for market needs, we have to be able to train them to produce. The era of talking about the importance of producing and then letting those productions to be done after the kids maybe graduate, in my view, they are gone, they're over. We have to help the kids to be able to produce great content while they are in school, which is why having the faculty and the staff to be able to do that is also critical. So to a degree, we can do those type of works on a volunteering basis, but then having the faculty who is able to mentor the kids to be able to do that while taking a college class is also necessary, which is different from what has been done in higher education, where most of the classes were more on a theoretical side and a planning side, but not necessarily on the execution side. So the output was secondary to the overall training in the theory of what needed to be done. I guess it's a shift on the market and how we're seeing it.
Okay, do your students conduct interviews during these contests, or is it all media?
Well, doing the games, we do not have the interviews yet.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a new model that we implemented. Matter of fact, since last year, is 1 year old. So what is also on our agenda, what we wanted to do is to have the interviews being done in between we're doing halftime. That's
Right.
what is coming next. We have done a pilot of interviews after the game was completed, but then what we found is that if the kids win, they want to talk.
Right.
If the kids don't win, they get upset, they want to talk about it.
Mhm.
So that's something that we found. But the part of the plan is to have the kids to be able to cover the midterm games in addition to having the live operation of cameras and the floating cameras getting the audience to be able to produce, well, to be able to produce a package that would then highlight what happened during that game.
I have a news alert for you. It's not just the students that don't like to talk when they lose. Coaches don't like to talk when they lose either.
Bro, I used to play golf for the Brazilian national team. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And every time that I would shoot like a 79 on 80, and then the reporters would come and say, just get out of my way, I don't
Right.
talk with you. And
Mhm.
then, so I understand. It's not that I don't get it, but in higher education, I guess somehow we think that things may be a little different, but it's the same thing.
Yes, I had a reporter tell me that one time. I coached the men and women's basketball team separately at Florida A&M University. And I
Yeah.
remember a reporter telling me one time that he said you can always learn a lot about a coach in a situation where they lose.
Oh,
They
yeah.
said they all want to. It's what he said. They all want to talk to you when they win, but they're very short and have a whole different attitude when they lose. And so he said when you see a coach that isn't like that, that takes the time and talk to you, he said that's a lot of how they've been trained and raised, that they're able to deal with different situations.
No, I agree.
So that's why I just kind of chuckled when you said that. It's nobody really wants to talk. I have to teach my grandson that even when he loses, he has that whole attitude. He's mad with everybody. I said,
I got you. Hey, your grandson wants to win. You know what I mean?
yes, sir. He really does.
I
But
got
tell
you.
us, how did you end up in this relationship with the athletic department? Because I have actually seen several of your productions, uh, talked to some of the students that you had, um, and they're really outgoing, personable individuals that should be able to be very successful in their chosen craft. But tell us how this came about, because I'm sure that this took a little bit of effort to get this off the ground and running.
Well, we did. It took a lot of effort because our department, we have the last count that I did for our department, we had about 100 students
Mm,
and 25 minors. So it's an operation of 125 kids. This number may be a little different now. Sometimes the kids don't come back
mhm.
for a semester, and then especially with the FAFSA situation now that we had nationwide, this number may be a little off, but it's typically the number. And so when I became chair, I told Dr. McGee is our dean, and I say, sir, what we probably should do here is to enable the kids to be able to come to Claflin, and this could be our competitive advantage, and enable them to produce content since day number one. So kind of a vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to do that, so we need to find different types of outlets for the kids to be able to do this. So I created the what was one of the advices that our advisory board gave us. So we need to have a show, like a news brief, a news show that would highlight the kids doing work in the studio. So then I put that together, and we did several of those. And in a conversation with the dean, he was talking, well, we're moving in a new direction. We're trying to work with the athletics, and maybe we can be known for being a school that helps students in broadcast, sports broadcasting. And I said, well, sir, I think that's a great idea, because then our operation would fit beautifully with athletics. The kids like sports, and we have the camera. We talk about camera equipment, and then it becomes almost like a match made in heaven. We have mass communication kids who love sports and like to do production, and we have the sports operation in need of students who want, or in need of students overall, actually, who would then help with assisting with the live games. And then so we implement that. And I felt that the best way to do this was to align some of our classes, which now there are two classes aligned with athletics, which is the TV production one and the practicum, for the kids to be able to learn some of the content theoretically in our classes and some of the operation with the equipment. And then the application of that learning then happens inside of athletics as well, which is a shift in what we were doing before I took over as department chair. So it came out of a conversation with the dean. Dr. McGee shared that with me, and then I start talking with Mr. O'Neill, which is the director of athletics, and got introduced to Mr. Goodwin, which is I guess the media professional also for the athletics department. So it came out of a conversation, and in that conversation, I was told also by our dean that the president very much so wanted to see that happening. So we support Dr. Marmack, and me included. I'm a big supporter of his leadership. So I said, well, maybe it is time for us to do that. And we did that to the best of our capacity. We're still refining the system.
Wow, that's a good story, and way to be proactive and get it moving in such a quick frame time too. But I need you to explain a little bit more to me about Claflin and the mass communication department. What exactly are you preparing the students in that department itself?
Oh, absolutely. So the mass communications department here at Claflin University is a department in a liberal arts institution. Right? Claflin is a small private HBCU. So what our kids do, what our students do, they get a general education, which is no different than any other institution, of 2 years where everybody kind of takes the same class. We call this the liberal studies curriculum. And in our major in specific, there are core classes that all students take. And then after they take those core classes, then they can choose a concentration in which they're going to be focused their efforts in. So students can choose between journalism, digital media, and public relations. So what we are training students to do here at Claflin is to be professionals in the media, where they can literally go to either to the media or to the press, depending on their concentration, and make a living doing the work that they love, using mass communication tools to be able to find a career. Now, what we have also focused in this last few years is to enable our kids to get a broad education, just because there's so much turnover in different kinds of jobs, and kids are moving jobs so often. By having different types of classes that enables them to be able to choose what they want to go It's part of what we're trying to do. Now, the focus of digital media right now is mostly in the area of broadcasting. We're trying to grow that area in sports broadcasting. A lot of our kids do work in photojournalism here on campus. We have a pretty active newspaper, department newspaper called the Panther, which for the last 3 years, we got the in South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Press Association, two of our students were the editors of the year for schools with less than 5,000 students. It's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids have won awards in photojournalism for the same organization. We have a chapter of the Public Relations Student Society of America, PRSSA. We have our radio station, which is done on demand, but the kids have produced podcasts. They have produced different music shows for the station. We have more of a TV studio rather than a TV station, but the kids have also produced multiple we'll call news briefs about what happens at the university and happens in the region and so forth, which is exciting. We give the kids the opportunity to be journalists of the media with a concentration depending on what they're interested in, but from a very practical standpoint for the kids. And of course, it's a college education, so some kids don't want to do the practice, but we try to encourage that anyways. But most of the kids do the practice.
And see that being at Florida A&M, we had a journalism school and
Yeah,
a television station and a lot of that. And I know that they always emphasize the students receiving broad training, never knowing what their occupation was going to end up being, and wanted them to be versatile in more than one area. And we had a number of their students as interns with us that have gone on to work at news stations and things like that. So we're really kind of proud of it and understand the significance of what this opportunity presents to the students at Claflin University. And I just think it's really great with some of the things that I've seen myself. Go ahead, please go ahead.
no, it's exactly so. In 2024, we can't afford to bring, and this is my argument, we can't afford to bring a student to a college or a university, whether that's at Claflin, where I used to work at Jackson State or FAM in Florida or any place, or Penn State, my alma mater, whatever the place, and expect the kid to pay tuition, which isn't cheap, and go through 4 years of education with a high student debt and kids leaving the university with no skill sets. As long as I have the health to do this work, sir, I'm going to do what I can for the students to be able to produce media. It's my area, right? To
Mhm.
learn the skill sets of media for them to be able to make a living when they graduate,
Mhm.
so that the investment that they make in both time and effort has an output that they can sustain themselves. And not all college professors take this stance, but I feel somehow a little responsible for that, especially when you're serving as a position of department chair. It's not on my contract, but the honor is also there. Do you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. That's your love of children, your love of the students, and
that's
wanting
it.
them to do well. So that kind of kicks in with some, doesn't kick in with all. That's
That's
why
it.
some faculty members are a little bit more popular with the student body than others. Just you didn't
It's
say
true.
that, I did.
But it's true
Mhm.
because the kids are very, Claflin's University students, sir, they're very good. They're
Mhm.
great,
Yeah.
brilliant. And
Mhm.
the kids are very perceptive. So we have to do what is best for them. I have been saying this for as long as I've been here at Claflin, the institutions too. If we do what is best for the student, we're always going to do what is best for us.
Hey, moving forward this year, and the athletics season, volleyball's underway, some track, basketball's around the corner. Uh, what has you excited about this upcoming year?
Well, what I'm excited about is that, well, the new equipment is definitely exciting because it's good for the kids to see what is already being used in a workforce and what is the most up-to-date technology. So from a tech standpoint, it's very exciting. The second exciting part of this year is that now we actually have a group of students who are trained on doing this work, and we can rely on them not only to help the classes with carrying out the training for this operation, but it should also be very helpful for the Department of Athletics to produce better content for the live feed. So that's exciting. What is also exciting is that we then have our new studio set is set up. Our radio station now has multiple microphones that the kids
Mm,
may be able to produce a like maybe like a coach show
mm.
after the games are over. That's something that we want to see here in our department, which is not something that we have done. We have done a pilot in sports media last semester, where we brought some students from the athletics teams to do a a press conference in our studio, which was a great experience for the kids to see in a controlled studio environment. So maybe scaling that would be very helpful um, for us, and I'm looking forward that maybe we can actually do this year.
Wow, those things share that with us. I mean, these are really exciting things that Claflin has going on, and I'm sure and can tell in your voice the excitement to be a part of creating these opportunities.
Yeah, every time that we see students, young students, young men and women excited about doing the work that we do, I'm excited about seeing that. That's why we became professors in the first place, and enabling and empowering the kids to be able to do that kind of work and keep the field of mass communication moving forward, and helping Claflin as an institution, as a great HBCU, to be in the media and be able to be talked about. I guess is part of what we're supposed to do.
Dr. Almeida, we appreciate you taking the time and sharing from your heart the things that you've shared with us today.
Yes, sir.
And we
Ian, thank
actually
you.
look forward to the time when we can have you on again.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure talking. And when it comes to talking about Claflin, talking about the kids, talking about media, count me in. I'll be